Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Kiara's Corner. Today, I have my friend and family, Halston, with me. Hey, Halston.
Hey, Kiara.
So, feel free to introduce yourself and then we'll hop into it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Halston Simmons. I am friends and family with Kiara. As she said, I'm a lot of things. I'm a creator. I am a voice actor. I have made a number of different channels online, but some are still a work in progress, as we'll probably find out later on in this interview. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you're here, and happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Freedom Day.
Yes.
So I guess that's a great place to start. So what does freedom mean to you? Elaborate on that for me.
Freedom for me means absolute autonomy in doing and pursuing the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily understand what freedom or how freedom feels or what it feels like to live in your own and do the things that you actually want to do. I think it's excellent that we all have the opportunity and ability to do the things that we do, especially these days compared to not too long ago in American history, and not just American history, but world history. Yeah, exactly. So for me, freedom means I'm able to be who I am and be comfortable in my own skin and pursue things that I find interesting and enjoy.
So, since it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, that is kind of what brought us here. And I love that today is also Juneteenth and we're able to celebrate not just physical freedom, but mental freedom. So, tell me a little bit about what mental health means to you and why this month is important and why you agreed to have this interview with me.
Mental health is important to me because, and it's no secret that we don't talk about it often enough, not just as men, but especially as Black men or Black people in general. And I think it's gotten a lot better in recent years with, what people think about it, how people understand mental health, and just all around how, seriously people treat it now. I wanted to do this interview because I feel like my experience, I can speak to the experience of not feeling confident in myself or comfortable being myself. And as far as struggling with mental health, I feel like I've had the experience of feeling like I need to change or feeling like, even down to the way I speak, having to adjust that in certain situations and
Kind of like code change, but almost
code
like,
switching.
code switching is so real. But in and out of the workforce, and not even just like code switching to a space where, you know, you adapt to the majority, but also to the minority.
Exactly. It goes two different ways. Another reason I wanted to do the interview is because I really honestly feel that when a man tries to express himself, or when he is, a lot of times when we're invited to express ourselves, it's not received all that well, especially if we are around other guys, for example. It's not, 100% of the time, but we don't always feel comfortable being, vulnerable.
Yes, I've noticed that the conversations that men have during guy time are vastly different than the conversations women have during girl time. Why is it that you all don't feel comfortable talking about things that are deeper than the surface?
I'll say that it's not all the time that we don't feel comfortable being vulnerable. It depends on who we're around, like as far as which guy friends we're around. But I will say in general, a lot of times guys just talk about surface level things and don't go deeper into how we're feeling because we've kind of been, I don't want to say groomed, but like it's been kind of like a known thing, tradition.
Almost
now.
like taught to suppress.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like just what's been done over time. Like when we're younger, we have to be, tough. We have to not show weakness. And it just kind of bleeds into the way that we communicate as men a lot of the time, unfortunately. But and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's a bad thing to have strength and protect your own and better yourself and be able to you know you know not be guarded. But I feel like it's important to also be able to express yourself in ways that help offload some of the mental stress sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's so well put. And it triggered a thought. So being raised by a single mom, I didn't have a lot of male perspective consistently.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't until later on in me and Braxton's relationship where he elaborated of the weight of being a man that I never had to think about or even saw.
Mhm.
And when you said, of course, being the protector and, um, you know, kind of always having to be on guard, it's like, well, when do men get to feel protected
Yeah.
or let that guard down? Like,
Mhm.
what creates that safety net for you specifically and just in general? Like, where do you feel most safe, I guess is where I'm getting. How does that, when are you able to let that guard down and take that protector title off for a moment?
At home when I'm with my partner. My fiance knows me better than I'd say most people know me, better than I know myself a lot of the times, which is crazy because we haven't known each other as long as I've known some people.
Isn't that wild how
That's
someone can
weird. Isn't that
introduce you
weird?
to who you are?
I know,
It's like,
right?
I didn't even know this part of me until I met you.
Exactly. Like, and I don't think a lot of times we're given room to explore that or even realize it until we've been with somebody for that amount of time, being in the same space alone, talking about literally everything. But ask that last question one more time because I want to make sure I
So, no, I
answer it
mean,
correct.
it's perfect. My question was, when are you allowed to take that protective title off and let
Yeah,
your guard down?
yeah. So I'll elaborate on that too because I also feel like timing is a factor too because a lot of people aren't comfortable until they get to a point where they realize that they're in protector mode or they have been guarded or even have toxic masculinity in some cases where you're made aware of it. And then after you're made aware of it, you are able to, okay, well, since I know this ball and chain is here now, let me go ahead and unlatch that.
Yeah.
So I don't have to carry that around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make sense?
It
Okay.
did. I was going to ask you, like, could you expand on your relationship with toxic masculinity? Has it ever been a part of your story or,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
for
how
sure.
so?
In a lot of different ways. Toxic masculinity has seeped in at various different points throughout my life, both young adult and childhood.
Mm.
I went around and I came back to it.
No, absolutely. Well, was there
But yeah.
any like specific moments, like looking back,
Hmm.
that it would be at its peak, if you will?
Probably early college. So
Mm.
like right around when I first started college at like 18, 19, and then around the time, funny enough, when I dropped out and came back home.
Mhm.
So I used to throw parties. I don't know who sees this, but hi, if we've met each other during that time period. Um, and a lot of times when you're young and you are around a lot of different people that are in that lifestyle, you start to pick up some habits. You start to pick up some ways of talking. You adjust the way that you are. Because full disclosure, in that at that time period, I was still figuring out who I was and
Absolutely. Yeah.
getting comfortable being myself.
Mhm.
Well, getting comfortable being around um, a lot of other guys in general, a lot of other black men, because when I was in middle school, um, I went to a PWI,
What is that?
predominantly white institution, for those that are
Oh,
unaware.
okay. Acronyms come
So,
through.
but I went to a school in this area that had a predominantly black population in high school, and that was new for me
It's like a
because
culture shock. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But when I started going there, I started picking up different um, styles. I wanted to fit in, and before you know it, I start speaking like a lot of you know braggadocious, hyper masculine guys. And when you do that for long enough, you start to behave in a way that you don't really recognize anymore. You want to fit in around the people that are supposed to be in your corner, and um, some people go one like in one direction, and I went the complete like opposite. I dove all the way in. So
Do you feel like
yeah,
the complexion of your skin made you overcorrect almost like
yeah,
to I feel the same way. It was like
absolutely,
I was too light to fit in with the black people and I was too dark to fit in with the white people. So where do I
exactly.
fit?
So it just kind of becomes, I don't know, a way of surviving at that point. We were talking earlier about code switching, and a lot of times when you are a black man and you get around other black men, and you're told in your childhood that you talk white, which is, I think, around the time I started to want to change myself when I was a kid. I wanted acceptance. So I start to um, deepen my voice and start talking
Mm,
with a little bit of swagger, and, you know, making adjustments here and there to make myself not seem so out of place.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that's how that kind of comes about.
That's so real. And I'm sorry if my face is like, because I'm
You're
just
good.
like processing everything. And, earlier you said you're able to let your guard down at home. Was that the case too back then?
As a kid growing up, and
Yeah.
um,
Did home know who you were?
home knew who I was, but at the
Okay.
same time, home also has a funny way of reminding you that you're not acting the way that you typically do. What are you doing?
Back then, home questioned you.
Mm-hmm. Home
Okay.
questioned me quite a bit. Um, yeah, home did question me quite a bit. I think it was needed, especially when I came back home, because I was completely different from when I left.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Yes, that coming home from college.
Mm-hmm.
I know your parents were like, all right, so fill us in.
Yeah.
Were you
So
pretty disconnected from home while you were at school?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a bad habit of um, no news being good news. So I don't hit up people or call as often as I did when I was
I
a
can relate.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that habit kind of like started um, manifesting when I was a teenager. So if I would be away from home for a certain period of time, I just wouldn't call because nothing was wrong.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize that sometimes translates into not caring or not or wanting my time to myself.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I know. It's so interesting because we talk about selfish versus self care
Yeah.
and how that is
Mm-hmm.
different. Like, just because I want to have some time and space for myself doesn't mean I'm selfish. It means I'm trying to take care of myself and what self needs.
Exactly.
So, we kind of talked briefly about this during our cousin's lunch
Sure.
last week.
Yeah.
And I brought up the topic of like Black boy joy and at what time in your life did that kind of dissipate and
Mm-hmm.
you know, or ever do you remember being joyful?
I do, and I feel like I've come back around to it in recent
I
years,
agree. I
but
agree.
I do remember a specific time when I was younger when my joy did kind of like dissipate. And it was right around when I started middle school, I'll say. As a matter of fact, no. It was right before that.
Mm,
It was late elementary school,
okay,
around
like fourth, fifth
fourth,
grade,
fifth grade, because
right when all the puberty hits and all the conversations
that's the
change,
time.
and
That's
yeah,
the time.
yeah.
Because before that, I'm just, going about life, talking the way I wanted to talk, you
Mm.
know, telling people about all the little things that I found interesting. It's, hey, have you seen this cartoon? Did you see this commercial the other night? I played
Yeah.
this video game the other day.
Hmm.
And, that was cool back then.
Yeah.
And it was around the time I was like I think 10 or 11 when I started discovering that I like girls. And there was one girl in particular that I, had a crush on. We started hanging out all the time. And it was at that point where I, got on the phone with her, and one of her parents got on the phone, said that it was cool if we were friends, but not buddies, as her mom put it. So
Interesting.
this girl was white. So that happened. And then shortly,
Did you feel like
yeah,
her mom was more so because of the age or more so because of who you are?
I never found out specifically, but it was always a question in my mind. But it was around that time that other kids started picking up on the way that I spoke. This is because my parents started taking me to a place called the Boys Club. The Boys Club was my first introduction into being around a lot of other Black boys. So it was that plus me being exposed to that and being in a predominantly white school that I started feeling like my joy started dissipating. And I didn't even realize it until later in life, because that was when I started wanting to change the way that I was and adjust the way that I moved.
Did you feel like the change of like embracing your Blackness when being exposed to more people at the boys club really changed how you were perceived at school? Or do you feel like it was a combination of things, or like what do you think was that big switch in the school setting?
That's a good question. I feel like um, after I was exposed to all of that, um, I think I'm going to think about this for a second because I'm really trying to formulate it. Ooh, memory unlocked. So yeah, I'm really starting to realize that time period was a lot of big shakeups.
And it's
Because
interesting, that's been one of the things that's probably been suppressed for safety, keeping, self-preservation.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry,
so
go ahead.
no, you're good. So not a lot of people know this, but I had this friend at the boys club, right? And this friend was the only one I felt like I could be myself around. We liked a lot of the same things. And, I didn't feel like I could really vibe with anybody else like that at the boys club. And so this friend died.
Oh my goodness.
While, he had seizures from
Okay.
time to time.
Okay.
And that was my first experience with seizures as a concept.
Wow.
Too. So one day after school, I got dropped off, and I just started hearing everybody's like, "Hey, are you such and such's friend?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm such and such friend. Yeah, yeah, he's dead." I'm like, "What?" That was my first experience with losing a friend.
I was gonna say that's such a young age to realize that kids can die. Because when you're young, you're like, oh, okay, old people die, or people die by tragic accidents, but kids dying,
Yeah,
that's a big one.
yeah, I was about 9, I think 8 or 9.
Oh my
like
goodness.
that. So yeah, but it was kind of like a big thing because apparently I was his only friend, and literally everybody knew it. And I'm just like, how did everybody know about it? I mean, I guess that's cool, but yeah, that was my first experience with that. And it was that plus the thing with the girl I had a crush on, plus just being introduced to the environment at the boys club in general.
Right.
That kind of I guess, shattered my Black boy joy for a time. So that kind of led to me changing, I guess, and figuring out, hey, I guess I have to, adjust the way that I move because it doesn't really benefit me all often, or at least that's how it felt in my head.
Right.
So, yeah.
Were you teased or bullied like during that fourth, fifth grade time frame as well during that shift?
Oh yeah, all the time. Because during that time period, I was also overweight. And when you're overweight for a kid, I don't know if y'all know this, but kids aren't all that nice about it. So
Ruthless, just
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
It's like,
just harsh,
yeah.
no reason. But yeah, so but roughly from that age to about 14, I was overweight, so it kind of affected my confidence and self-image too. So by that time I was in 7th grade, I got sick of it to the point where that summer I just worked out all the time, to the point where as I went, I started to slim down. I started to feeling better, looking healthier. Girls like to talk to me now. So at that point, that's also kind of when I started to gain the um, persona and pick up some of that toxic masculinity I was talking about before.
Interesting how confidence created that.
Mm-hmm. Um, and I don't necessarily know if the confidence fully developed, because even for a long time after that, I still felt um, like I wasn't good enough a lot of the time.
You were able to like show external confidence, but
Mm-hmm.
still that internal dialogue was not,
Yeah, no, it
they
wasn't.
weren't
They
connecting.
were
Yeah.
conflicting. There was always an internal conflict with what I was presenting versus what was going on inside, and that kind of like created this, I'll call it a sort of inner turmoil with, still trying to get people to like me essentially. And you just get burnt out after a while, especially as a young man. And
It's exhausting trying to be someone you're not.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, that's not well received, especially when people that are good at picking up on stuff like that realize it. So it took a lot of being honest with myself and having a lot of harsh conversations with the people around me, even like um, with my fiance, because I told her about that time period in my life, and it was more like, yeah, you were being fake. That's what that is, or that's what we call it anyway.
Yeah.
So I had to really be honest with myself about how I was moving, and you know, after I made that realization, I realized, I went through my whole early college career being somebody that I wasn't. So yeah, but this is really who I am.
Yeah. When would you say you got to be reintroduced to Halston? Because it seems like from what, 8, 9 years old to college age. When did you come back?
Yeah, so that was the time period that Haas kind of took over. That's my nickname from way back in the day that I kind of adopted, as outwardly, when I wasn't around family. But I would say I got reintroduced to Halston when I got my diagnoses. Um,
I don't know if I know about this.
Really, I could have sworn I talked about it before. But yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety disorder at 26. That's late for a lot of
Was
people.
Yeah, was it life changing?
I'd say so, yeah. Because when I went for the diagnosis, I had never been to a therapist before. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't against doing it, but I also didn't know how it worked.
Yeah.
So, I had just done a lot of searching online, and, realizing, looking back, I had a lot of, you know, learning struggles, and having a hard time paying attention when I wasn't, like, when I didn't already have an interest in something, and staying focused, and especially when I was anticipating conflict, or even heated arguments. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you have ADHD, there's something called executive functioning, and that's basically being able to make decisions and make moves in the heat of the moment. That had always been a struggle for me, especially with dealing with bullies. And
Would you retreat?
I wouldn't retreat, but I wouldn't know how to communicate. I would lose the ability to communicate effectively, kind of like,
Yeah.
I would glitch out, essentially,
Yeah.
is what I like to call it.
I get that. Yep.
So, if I'm having to, have a verbal um, if I had to verbally spar with somebody or try to stand on 10 and prove my point to somebody, if they're a lot better at that or have more experience with it, or even are able to, stay locked in, it things kind of like collapse up here for me. So that's also a part of that. I came to find out. So after explaining everything to my therapist, she was like, "Yeah, that lines up." So with symptoms of ADHD, and also she just kind of threw anxiety disorder in there too, because um,
They kind of go hand in hand. And
yeah,
what I learned when I was diagnosed at 31 with ADHD was, yeah, too long. And it's wild because I had been seeing therapists since I was 12.
what? And they
Yeah,
didn't pick up on it?
yeah, no. So it's hidden, especially in women with anxiety.
Uh-huh.
So the behaviors mimic each other. So I thought I just had severe anxiety, but no, just ADHD is
Yeah.
the foundation. So I can absolutely relate to that. So
Mhm.
okay, you said you went searching for a therapist. What prompted that? Like, what was the okay? I need additional
Um,
help.
honestly, just at that point in time, I was heavy in watching YouTube content and just going down a rabbit hole of
The throwback AI.
oh yeah, yeah, the throwback AI.
Yeah.
I just would watch videos for entertainment purposes, but
Mm.
somehow I stumbled upon the mental health side of YouTube, and I found this YouTube channel. I'm blanking on the name right now, but they specifically I think it was a video on like from a company called Attitude, spelled with an ADD instead of an ATT, Attitude. But it was that, and I think I saw a TED Talk video with somebody, like re just telling people about their journey, and I'm like, kind of relate to that. So it just kind of like stuck in my head for a while, and I started researching it, and then I just decided, you know what, I got this job where I have health insurance now, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try.
Yeah.
But that's how it came about. And the funny thing
It
is,
almost was now accessible to you because you
yeah,
had the insurance and you had the knowledge of the.
exactly. It's funny what that can do for somebody.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I can change it, but yes,
Yeah,
when we have the ability to have something covered that we need, we'll seek it out. But if it's not, and there are additional barriers in between, it's like, no, I need therapy, but I can't afford it.
yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't be
I'd
that
love to
way.
go to a therapist every single week,
Hmm.
but PTO be dwindling if that happens. So
That makes me so mad and sad with our system.
yeah, every time I think about it. But yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, because when I went, the funny thing that happened was it explained so much that I had kind of like kept in the background for a long time. And when I decided to post about it, because at this point I was a lot more active on social media too, I was surprised by some of the responses, particularly from people I had known for years. Like, why are you posting this on social media? What are you doing? Why are you telling people
We're not
about
supposed to talk about this. No
exactly?
one's
We're not
supposed to
supposed to talk
know.
about this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I expected a lot more support from y'all. You know what I'm saying? But then the more I looked into it, there's a lot of stigma around mental health, particularly with ADHD, and particularly amongst Black people, not just with ADHD, but with mental health issues in general, for a lot more serious mental health issues, even just going from schizophrenia to, um, you know, DID and, PTSD and things like that. We're just supposed to deal with it,
Yeah,
or
we're supposed to mask it. Don't tell.
nah,
You're putting us all to shame.
you have
And
to keep that down.
yeah,
Like,
we have
hold
to
that
keep
down.
that behind closed doors. That's our business. That's we don't talk about this.
Exactly. So we're kind of like, in a way, socially um, pressured to hold that in and not talk about it, which is why I think platforms like yours and days like this or months like this in general are really important, because you have to be able to talk about it when things get hard. It doesn't work for everybody. I understand that, not everybody likes talking about things that they find private, but if you do get to a point where you wish you had somebody to talk to, or um, things like that, and you feel alone, then I feel like it can only help to start a discussion about it.
Yeah, I feel like everyone needs at least one safe person
Mm-hmm.
because I truly feel like we're not built to get through things by ourselves. So when we try, you hit all of these roadblocks because no one's telling you how to get around them.
Yeah.
But when you have someone who's outside of yourself sharing their point of view, it shifts everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I agree. Opening the conversation, I mean, just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not happening.
No,
That's the biggest,
it's not going to go away.
misconception. Like, just because, you don't get to hear from a lot of people that they're struggling doesn't mean the struggle isn't happening. It just means it's happening in private or, yeah, but as we know, everything comes to the surface at some point and the cracks start to show when we don't express what's going on. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
I just think it's really important for people to, one, be honest with who you are. Don't try to bury it. Don't try to, you know, make yourself into somebody else because it'll make other people around you more comfortable. I think that's something that I had to learn, especially coming up in a time where it wasn't cool for black men to share their feelings. It wasn't cool for
Unless
unless it was anger.
yes.
It's funny how that, or like, um excitement in some cases, and it better be something that's masculine.
And that's what I think started the, Black Boy Joy. And, I think I said something along the lines of, it's so sad how Black men do not get to uh, share their full emotion, their full excitement in certain settings. It's just like, why do it, Black men just have this expectation of you just got to play it cool? You just got to play it cool because if you don't, then
you're not black enough. You're lame.
Yeah.
You're being kind of like feminine right now.
Yeah, the misconception of if I do this, then I'm no longer who I am.
Yeah, exactly. But I would contest that. And I feel like that's the most honest expression of who you are, because your, when your energy is high, regardless of if you're happy or angry or even excited, those are some of the most authentic expressions that we have as people.
Yeah.
I truly believe that, because I feel like you should be able to get just excited as, regardless of, race, gender, or anything.
Yeah.
About if your sports team wins, that's cool. You can get excited about it. You can jump and cheer. If you just found out, oh, PlayStation's dropping a new game.
Right.
Yeah, I can't wait for that, man. Hey, we're about to go hard for that one. Or hey man, I really like your locks today. Just big somebody up because of that, and not feel weird about it.
Exactly.
Or, I really like the way you put your outfit together, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, oh yeah, you fly right now, bro.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's as far as the meter can go.
Exactly.
That's as far as it can go for a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
That is, and I feel like the older we get, the more we are welcomed to communicate differently with each other, especially when I see men communicating with each other, like as men versus as boys. I think as men, you're more comfortable in who you are, and you also care less about what people think to an extent. Yeah.
You do.
So I have two questions to wrap up.
Yeah.
What would your message be to Halls? What would you have needed to hear between those ages of 9 and when you left college? And then my follow-up question to that is, in regards to Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, what is the most important piece of that for you?
To my former self, or not even my former self, my younger self, I would say, you're enough. I know that's cliche at this point, like that phrase
Not
in
at all.
general. I feel like it is sometimes, but genuinely, little man, you're enough. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to like what you like. It's okay to speak the way that you do. You don't have to change who you are. You know, it's okay. You don't have to worry. It gets better. That's my message to my younger self. And also, stop partying so much. But as far as the message that I want to send to other men in general, you don't have to try so hard. You know, it's funny that that phrase, especially that phrase, you don't have to try so hard, rings true equally for Black men, because it's honestly it's a phrase that I've heard multiple times, being, you know, putting on as much as I did back in those days. You know, you don't have to try to speak a certain way. You don't have to try to act big and bad and braggadocious all the time, because, you know, that's not who you naturally are. But in the same breath, you don't have to try so hard is something that a lot of men, regardless of your background, need to embrace, because it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you trying to be so many things all at the same time. And it just, you know, it's a breath of fresh air when you can just let go and be that little boy sometimes.
Halston,
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing and being your authentic self. I think that it is something that so many people need to hear. Thank you for sharing and being so real with us. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Kiara's Corner. We'll see you again soon.